multiplication and division in standard form. Look at this. How we carry out multiplication of standard form and also division of numbers in standard form. Solution 1. Solution 1. We have 4.2 times 10 raised to the power of what? 5. Times, we have 2 times 10 raised to the power of 3. Now, when numbers are to be multiplied in standard form, what do? We multiply the part is a part, and while the part of its powers of 10, we are going to use indices in operating that. So let's look at that. 4.2 times 2 times what? 10 raised to the power of 5 plus 3. We say that when we are multiplying the powers of 10, we are going to add them. When we are multiplying, we add up the powers of 10. And that will give us what? This is equal to what? 2 times 2 here is what? 4. 2 times 4 gives us 8. This is now times 10 raised to the power of what? 8. Now let's look at the next one. We are looking at 5.3 times 10 raised to power minus what? 6. Then this is now times what? 3 times 10 raised to power 4. So let's look at that. Similarly, take the parts, the A parts there, multiply them times 3. Then our powers of 10, we do what? We add them. Minus 6 plus what? 4. So this gives us what? 3 times 3 gives us what? 9. And 3 times 5 gives us what? 15. Times what? 10 raised to the power of what? Minus 6 plus 4. That will give us what? Minus 2. So we now have minus 2. But we cannot leave our answer like this. Why? Because this is not in standard form. This side cannot be above 10. So in writing this back in standard form, how do we write this in standard form? We move the decimal ones and we are going to add what? 1. So it becomes 1.59 times 10 raised to power minus 2 plus 1. And that becomes what? 1.59 times 10 raised to power what? Minus 1. Let's look at question number 3. Question number 3. We have 1.5 times 10 raised to power 3 divided by what? 5 times 10 raised to power minus 1. When we are dividing values that are in standard form, the powers of 10, we subtract them. The powers of 10 are subtracted while we divide normally. Now let's take this. This becomes 1.5 divided by 5 times 10 raised to the power of 3 minus, but this already have a minus sign, so open bracket minus 1. This is what we have now. Open bracket minus 1. Now 1.5 divided by 5, 0.3. 0.3 times 10 raised to power what? 3 plus 1. Because minus times minus gives you what? Plus. So minus times minus becomes what? Plus. So this is now equal to what? 0.3 times 10 raised to power what? 4. So our answer now becomes what? We cannot leave the answer in that form because it is not in standard form. For standard form, you cannot have it as 0. What? 3 times 10 raised to power 4 minus what? 1. And our answer is now what? 3 times 10 raised to the power of what? 3. That becomes our answer. Question number 4. 2.2 times 10 raised to power minus 2 divided, open bracket, 2 times 10 raised to the power of minus 3. close bracket. 2.2 divided by 2 times, we now have what? 10 raised to power minus 2. Because we are dividing, we subtract. So we now have minus, open bracket. It carries a negative sign here, minus 3. So 2 divide 2.2, it gives us what? 1.1 times 10 raised to power minus 2. Minus times minus here becomes what? Plus. Becomes plus. So we now have plus. So this will give us what? 1.1 times 10 minus 2 plus 3 is equal to what? 1. So that gives us what? The final answer. Now we are going to look at addition and subtraction in standard form. Let's take some examples of how we are. Let's look at the solution. Solution 1. 8.3 times 10 raised to power 4 plus 6.2 times 10 raised to power 2. That is what we are. When the powers of their 10, their powers, their integers here, when it's not the same, then you cannot just add the values together. You must first try to make the powers to be what? The same. To make the powers the same, or better still, you can convert this value into what? Ordinary number. I said you can convert this value into ordinary number, add them, and write it finally in standard form when the powers of their 10 is not the same. So if we want to write this in ordinary number, this value will give us what? We are going to get what? 83000. This is what we have. 83000 plus, this will give us what? 620. 620. You see that now? So we can now add them up together. Add them up together and express what we have. We have 0, we have 2, we have what? 6, and we have what? 3 and 8. So this becomes our value. This becomes our value. So we can now write this value now in standard form. And in standard form, this is what? 8.362 times 10 raised to power 1, 2, 3, 4 raised to power 4. We get that? 83620. This is addition. 0 plus 0 gives us what? 0. 2 plus 0 gives us 2. 6 plus 0 gives us 6. Then we have 3 and 8. So this is how we operate. But if we don't want to change the values all into what? Ordinary values. How do we go about it? We are going to do what? Convert any of these. Is either we reduce this to have a power of 2, or we increase this to have a power of what? 4. An alternative method. We can do it in this form. We have 8.3 times 10 raised to power 4 plus 6.2 times 10 raised to power what? 2. Now, if we want to reduce this value so that the power here will become 2, what will happen? We are going to move this decimal 2 times. So we now have 830 times 10 raised to power 2 plus 6.2 times 10 raised to power 2. So we have succeeded in making the powers to be the same. If the powers are the same, we can now add up by saying 10 raised to power 2, open bracket, 830 plus 6.2. So we can add. We can add it up now. Let's add. If we are adding this up now, what are we going to get? We are going to get 10 raised to power 2, open bracket, we have what? 0.2 This plus this gives you what? 638. So now this is what we have. 10 raised to power 2 times 836.2. So we are going to write this now in standard form. We are moving 2 times. 1, 2. And that becomes what? We now say what? 8.362 times 10 raised to power 2. Then times 10 raised to power 2. We have written this now in standard form. It gives us this. So we can now add up by saying 8.362 times 10 raised to power 2 plus 2. And that gives us what? 8.362 times 10 raised to power what? 4. Question number 2. 1.41 times 10 raised to the power of minus 3 plus 2.7 times 10 raised to the power of minus 3. Now, in this situation, the powers of 10 here, they are the same. So, since they are the same, we have to do what? Take these common 10s out. So, we now have what? 10 raised to the power of minus 3, open bracket, and we have 1.41 plus 2.7. I will close the bracket. We are saying that 10 raised to power minus 3 is common to both sides, to both of them. So we bring it out. We bring it out and we add up their values inside. So let's add up the values inside. We are going to have 10 raised to power minus 3, open bracket. If we are adding these values, what do we have? 1 plus 0. 1 plus 0. We have what? 1. Look at it. 1.41. And we have 2.7. We are adding. So 1 plus 0 here gives you 1. 4 plus 7 gives you 11. We have 1. Carry 1. 1 plus 2, 3. Plus the 1 we carry gives you 4. So we now have what? 4.11. So we have 4.11. So our answer is 4.11 times 10 raised to power minus 3. 3. What do we have? We have what? 3.5 times 10 raised to power 4 minus 2.6 times 10 raised to power 2. In this case again, the powers are not the same. Now, because the powers are not the same, we can reduce this to an ordinary form first before we subtract. Or better still, we can make one of these to become the same as the power there. Now, let's look at that. If we want to make this power here to become 2, we now have what? 350 times 10 raised to power 2, then minus 2.6 times 10 raised to power 2. So we have succeeded in making their powers to be the same. So now we take them. 10 is common to both sides. 10 raised to power 2 is common to both sides. 10 raised to power 2, open bracket, 350 minus 2.6. So we are going to subtract that. We are going to subtract that. 350 minus 2.6. If we do that subtraction, we now have 10 raised to power 2, open bracket. What do we have? 0 minus 6 there cannot. So bottom 1 becomes 10. We now have what? 4. We have 4 points. What do we have? What we have left here becomes 9. 9 minus 2 will give us what? 7. And we have 4, 3. If we are not clear, I want to take it this way so that you can understand what we have done. 350 minus, we have 2.6. You can see that this is also a decimal point and there's a 0 there. 0 minus 4 cannot. We borrow 1 from this 5, so this 0 becomes 10. Borrow 1 from the 10, so this 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 6 gives us 4. Our decimal. What is left here is 9. 9 minus 2 gives you 7. What we have left here is what? 4 and 3. That is how we got this value. 347.4. So our answer now becomes what? 347.4 times 10 raised to power 2. But we cannot leave the answer in this form because this is not standard form. So to write this in standard form, we are going to move the decimal 2 times, 2 places to the left, 1, 2. So we now have 3.474 times 10 raised to power 2. Because we move 2 places to the left, we add what? 2. So this gives us what? 3.474 times 10 raised to the power of 4. Question number 4. We now have what? 5.12 times 10 raised to the power of minus 2. Then minus 3.8 times 10 raised to the power of minus 2. So what do? 10 raised to the power of minus 2 is common to both sides. So we take it out. 10 raised to the power minus 2. Open bracket. 5.12 minus 3.8. Bracket closes. We have 10 raised to the power minus 2. Open bracket. We are subtracting this now. Now look at this evaluation. 5.12. And we have what? Minus 3.8. If we evaluate that, we are going to get what? 2 minus 0 is what? 2. 1 minus 8 cannot borrow 1 to the 1, that becomes 11. 11 minus 8 gives you what? 3. What is left here? 4. And we have 1. So this gives us what? 1.32. So our answer becomes what? 1.32 times 10 raised to the power of what? 2. You have gained from the mathematics class. Please don't forget to share, like, follow, and comment on all our social media platforms and subscribe. God bless you.